Hey, are ducks call shy or are they people shy? In this video series, we're going to help hunters learn to sound like a duck on their duck call. Hi, I'm George Lynch of Legendary Gear. In this first video series, this is going to be about the beginning stages learning a duck call. And one of the important things that we're going to talk about, one, what is the right call for you? How important is the gear? Good gear makes the difference between success and failure. And then we're going to learn the lip placement, the mouth, the hand placement, and then the air presentation. I like to break it down. We have different styles. There is the cut down duck call. This is going to take a lot more air, more of, I'd say, an advanced call. Has that good deep bark to it. A lot of guys in the timber hunting like using that. The next one is one that we just came up with here, is a cut down hybrid. Now this is off a J-frame. We designed the J-frame to be different. We're using a cut down reed. This call is going to be able to give us that rasp, that bark, the sharpness with half the air. Then we go from there to our J-frame, which is the impact, our J-frame single reed. And then what I consider the call that does it all is our nosedive duck call. This is our double reed design. Guys will ask me, what is a great call to start with? And I always say, get the best call that you can afford that fits into your budget. But I can tell you this from past experience, everyone who'll go out, they want to get started, they say, hey, I like this, but I don't know what to get. So they end up, they buy a cheap $20, $25 call. I can tell you a lot of guys who have about $250 worth of cheap calls in their drawer, then they end up finding out that, hey, if I buy a better call, it's a better instrument, I'm going to attain success quicker, and I'm going to have a better, truer pitch and nice sound. So the nosedive duck call, I would say, is the most user-friendly call to make, so that it all takes the same verbiage in the beginning and the air that we present into the call. But the neat thing where the double reed shines for the guy is that he can put the air in it and doesn't have to put as much voice to get that nice raspy duck into the call until he starts obtaining and getting better and better on the call. But so today I'm going to use this video series starting off as our nosedive duck call and a double reed. Now we talked about our gear. I'm going to talk about the three things that I think the important thing, and it's mouth placement. Where do I place the mouth my mouth onto the call? I liked the way this mouth piece is made. It's made to seat and seal. That's the purpose of our mouth and our lips, to seal our air so our air goes not out sideways but straight through the call. So I like to take the front of the mouthpiece and to the front of my lip, and I'm perching just like I was going to kiss, and I put my bottom lip underneath that ridge. You can see how we designed that. That right there makes the perfect seal. Once I figured that out, if you're right-handed or left-handed, I'm right-handed, so if you're left-handed, you just do the opposite. But I like to take my thumb and forefinger into the apex of my hand here, kind of cradle that call into here. Nothing fancy, I'm just cradling it right in there. Then when I come down, one of the big mistakes I see new beginnings in duck calling, and especially guys who learn the goose call first and then are trying to duck call, is they'll come up and you'll see them trying to use their offhand with back pressure into that duck call. The back pressure can't release. You don't, with a duck call, need back pressure from the offhand. In fact, we're going to teach you how to kind of keep your last three fingers together. And if anything, I'll angle them out just a tad to project my sound from here to here. But pretty much we're going to start with doing this. Later on, I will show you what I call reflecting the sound by just moving my fingers. And that will correspond with the difference in my air pressure. And I will talk about that later down. But right now, that is how I hold the call. Now we got the lips on the call. We got how we're going to hold the call. Now what I consider very important here now is the $64,000 question. And the most important thing is presenting that grunt and my air into that call. Now we're going to start with a quack. And a lot of guys say you center everything around the quack and you learn to do that quack. And that's basically, you'll learn to take that to the hen cadence and you can do everything else. Yes and no. I disagree. I believe the quack is a separate sound itself. And then from the hen cadence is a separate sound, and it's different air pressure. Reason I'm telling you that up front because I don't want you to get the mindset, okay, now I got the quack and I'm gonna take that and now I'm just gonna do the same thing and get up here and make the cadence sound. When a quack is made, I use my vocalization and my air. And I'll actually make that vocalization through the whole sound of the call. I'm gonna break it up now. I'm gonna do the vocalization, the grunt first. Now the second part is the air. So you understand how I'm starting. Into the call, into the back of the call. Now you hear the grunt, I'm kind of pushing it all the way through. The reason I'm doing that and soften with and practice with your air. You have to practice to learn that air control because there's not a gauge, an air gauge hooked to our mouth to sit there and say, okay, now you're going to only put 10 PSIs and this one you're going to put 20 PSIs. It all has to come by feel and by sound. And I recommend everybody who's doing this on every session that you do, take your cell phone, your smartphone, record every session that you're doing. And that phone right there will give you, trust me, you're gonna video and record different than what you think you sound. And the video phone will be your best critique. And it's another neat thing about it is that you can send your, you make a video and send it to me and I can help critique it, send you a text message back and help you back and forth. The great thing with the new technology. But on this quack, a quack is what a duck does. It's a content sound, a content emotion. So if that duck is out there and it does a slight feed and whack, 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 whack. Now you hear how soft and easy that was? I would practice that, and what I like to do is I like to start out, add more pressure because you're not going to learn to control that. So you're going to start out the first that you're doing it, get the grunt. Now I've made that loud, but what it's doing, you're trying to learn that rhythm and that sound and the air pressure, tongue and everything on this. Now once I've done 10, that I'm getting that quack without making a mistake, start doing another 10, but lighten up the sound. So we're gonna go, then go, that right there is the best way to get started, learning that quack, getting familiarized with the dimensions and the dynamics of the call and being able to project that sound. And when I'm doing my voice inflection, I'm going to start out doing it in 2 parts so you hear it, and then I'm going to do it as a 1 part where one goes and continues into the next part. So that is the quack. Again, I told you the quack is it's a confidence call, a contentment. Now, once you got that quack going down, now we're going to start working what is, to me, the most important thing is that the hen cadence. Now here's where I'm going to try to tell you the difference. When I'm doing a hen cadence and you hear that hen out there, you hear wah, 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 wah. So she's making the first note out there and she drags it a little bit. Then the second note is a little bit softer, a little bit shorter, a little bit softer, a little bit shorter, and then just a quick one again. And the closer the ducks get, as you're working them in, the quicker and shorter your cadences will be out in the field. Good thing to remember and put in that in your toolbox there to remember. But the reason now I want you to get away from the quack, because that quack, if I try to do the quack in that cadence, That right there is the importance that you have to separate the quack from the hen cadence, because when I hear a hen mallard doing that high regressive quack, wah, wah, wah. A lot of you guys have all heard that when you walked into a pond, you're sneaking there in the morning, and all of a sudden you bump the ducks out of that spot. As those hens, as they're leaving, that's their alarm sound. Whack, whack, whack. So if we're working ducks in, and I got a guy over to the side here, and he starts blowing that aggressive quack sound, it's going to give the meaning to the sound to the ducks in the air that maybe a duck's been spooked and they're blowing out. So that's why we're going to separate it now. Now we're going to get that hen cadence. Now we're going to do the same thing that we did on that quack. I'm going to, that was a quack. Now you hear I kind of use that voice all the way through it. On this, I'm going to start with the voice. But I'm going to put the air behind it and drag that air and increase it, not decrease it. So it's going to sound in the back of the call. You hear that? My pinching, the tighter I make those lips, and I should have mentioned that when you're doing that quack, my lips are a lot tighter. You want to get that air pressure tight and fast and control, because you're wanting to get more gravel into that call. Now to get that cadence, it's going to sound like this. Now when you got that down, you're going to do the 10 steps, the 10 practices. Then I'm going to do the same thing, but speed it up. Now you see what I'm kind of doing there. I'm working on that timing and that rhythm. Remember what we talked about before at the beginning of this video? A lot of people said, man, the ducks just wouldn't work. The ducks were call shy. I don't believe ducks or geese are call shy. They're people shy. And ducks and geese all have a rhythm. So when I'm out in the field, how many of you guys sit there and you hear somebody and, hey man, I hear geese or I hear ducks, and I'll sit there and listen? No, that's people calling. Because I can tell and identify the human rhythm right away. So always remember, we want to have that duck rhythm. So now we got the 5 blast and we speed it up. Now the practice is, I'm going to do the 5 blast, but we're going to stair step down with the pitch. So it's, now it's going to go. Now that I'm getting muscle memory here of teaching myself how to do the 4 or 5 cadence, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that they all kind of flow and you push that note through. Now that I got that in there, then we can speed it up. Now we're getting the cluck, and now we got the hen cadence. Now you see the difference. I don't want you to think that the quack is everything and I'm just doing the quack and making that cadence, because the air pressure is different. And identifying and understanding that is going to help you tremendous when you're starting to get better and you want to start getting to the next level, to the next level. So always remember that practice doesn't make perfect. It's perfect practice that makes perfect. And always remember, hunt safe, hunt smart, and may the good Lord be your guide.